Picture this. You're deep in the Guatemalan jungle. Mist hangs in the air like breath. A howler monkey cries in the distance, and somewhere beneath the canopy, a story waits with its roots tangled in memory. You step into a clearing and find two trees standing in silence, close enough to touch both at once. One is pale, smooth, with waxy bark that gleams like polished bone. Beautiful, mysterious, toxic. That's the chichain. Touch it and it burns. Not right away, but later. A creeping sting that flares with time. Then, just steps away, its twin. Red-barked, papery, soft. That's the chaca. Its sap soothes the chichain's poison. Wherever one grows, the other follows. Not enemies, not opposites, just truth. Living beside each other, one wound, one remedy.
Now that, my friends, is critical thinking in tree form.
Exactly. Because this episode, it's not about being clever. It's about being clear. And in a world full of bite-sized opinions and internet rage, clarity is a rare fruit.
It's about knowing the difference between a hot take and a hard truth, between the first thought that stings and the second one that heals.
Welcome to the Latitude Adjustment, the podcast where aging isn't a slow fade. It's a bold, freaking encore. Join Rusty and Erica, two rebel-hearted guides with a suitcase full of stories, a camera, a compass, and zero tolerance for boring self-help. They're not here to fix you. They're here to remind you, you were never broken. So whether you're craving clarity, connection, or just a passport stamp for your next chapter, you've docked at the right port. Grab your sun hat, loosen your grip on the grind, and get ready to chart a new course. Mind, body, and soul. This is the Latitude Adjustment.
Welcome back to the Latitude Adjustment. I'm Rusty.
And I'm Erica. And today, we're putting down the machete and picking up the magnifying glass. Because real thinking, the kind that doesn't leave welts, isn't louder or faster, it's deeper.
Inspired by day 13 of A Guide for Aging Heroes, this episode is your invitation to think like a forest, to hold wisdom and danger in the same clearing and not run from either.
We call this episode Sharpen Your Thinking Skills, but not like, you're sharpening a sword. This isn't about slicing people up in an argument. It's about refining your mental machete so you can cut through confusion without losing your soul in the process.
And trust me, we've lost our mental machetes more than once.
Marbles and machetes.
Our Mayan guide in Tikal told us the legend. Two brothers, one made of fire, one made of wind.
I remember this.
Both fell in love with the same woman. Both destroyed each other. The gods were moved by their heartbreak and turned one into the chichain, the burning tree, and one into the chaca, the healing tree.
That's right.
And the woman, she became the flower that blooms on both.
Boy, talk about myth and medicine in the same breath, right?
Right.
Because in every conversation, every belief, every inner debate, we're standing between those two trees. Are we reacting from fire or with wind? Are we stinging or soothing?
And most of us, if we're honest, are touching the chichain all the time, blindly. We say something snarky. Double down on a half-baked opinion.
That's right.
Quote an article we didn't read past the headlines. And by the time the rash shows up, we're already in too deep.
Critical thinking is about remembering the chaca, about pausing long enough to apply a little wisdom before we pass on the sting, about standing in the jungle of our thoughts and asking, is this a truth or just seductive BS with good marketing?
And here's the kicker. Most of us are what I call natural thinkers.
Tell us about this.
Well, it sounds flattering, but it's basically code for gut feelings, bold statements, and logic duct taped to emotion.
Got it. So natural thinking is the cha-chain.
Correct.
Instinctive, emotional, prone to rashness.
Like me.
Literally and figuratively. But critical thinking, that's the chaka. It takes intention and slowness, healing, not to win debates, but to understand.
So for the folks at home, I am Chechen, and my partner here is Erica Chaka. And like those trees, the two kinds of thinking aren't far apart.
It's true.
They live right next to each other.
They're neighbors.
Same brain, same conversation, same jungle. What makes the difference is which one you reach for.
So this is a good time when we're going to do a quick recap. Today, we met two trees. One wounds, one heals. Both grow together. We explored how the tension between them mirrors the tension inside us. The urge to react versus the power to reflect.
We called out natural thinking. We celebrated critical thinking. And we reminded you that clarity isn't a lightning bolt. It's a choice. A slow, steady walk through the jungle of your own beliefs.
Coming up next in segment 2, we hand you the tools, your very own critical thinking field kit, complete with filters, razors, and a mirror you might not want, but you definitely need.
So grab your journal, bring your curiosity, and keep an eye out for trees with stories to tell. All right, heroes. In segment 1, we stood between the cha-chain and the chaka.
I like that. Cha-chain, chaka.
Between the sting and the salve, we talked about the space between reactivity and reflection. Now, we're handing you the tools to walk that space with a little more grace and a lot fewer blisters.
Welcome to the field kit. This is your critical thinking machete set. These aren't for hacking your way through arguments, though, Rusty. They're for carving clarity in a forest full of noise. No PhD required, just curiosity, humility, and the willingness to stand long enough to know which tree you're touching.
Because here's the thing. We all have cha-chain thoughts.
Quick, flashy, emotional.
And sometimes they're useful.
Sometimes.
Until they start burning people.
Feel the burn.
What we need are chaka tools, things that draw the poison out, not spread it around.
So let's see what we have in our kits. First up, the evidence filter. Simple question here. Where's the proof? Not the vibe, not the TikTok, the actual source.
For instance, a professional journal article is a legitimate source of knowledge.
Because if your opinion is built on a feeling and a Facebook post, that's cha-chain logic. Looks convincing, but touch it and it'll blister your credibility.
The evidence filter makes you pause and ask, who said this? What's their agenda? What data backs it up? If you wouldn't let it guide your surgery or your parachute deployment, don't let it guide your worldview.
Did you just throw pie in the face? Here's a cocktail napkin. We'll wipe that off. Next, it's Occam's razor. It says, the simplest explanation is usually the right one. Not the most dramatic, not the one with secret cabals and coded cereal boxes. Simpler, cleaner, less Netflix, more Nova.
Right on.
Yeah.
So if your knee hurts, start with, I twisted it weird, not the government microchipped my sneakers. Critical thinking shaves off the excess and leaves the truth closer to the surface.
Tool number 3 is the Chaka Classic, the opposite test. Ask yourself, what would someone who disagrees with me say? And here's the kicker. Say it in a way they'd nod and say, yeah, that's fair.
This tool isn't about surrender. It's about understanding.
That's right.
If you can't explain the other side without mocking it, you're not debating. You're reenacting a Facebook fight in your head.
True listening doesn't burn. It breathes. It doesn't sting. It soothes.
Next up, the change test. Ask yourself, what would it take to change my mind? If the answer is nothing, then you're in cha-chain territory, emotionally fused and logically inflexible.
The moment you say, I hadn't thought of it that way, is the moment you become teachable. That's not weakness. It's strength with open palms. It's Chaka energy.
Learning occurs in the moment you realize you were wrong about something.
That's right. So finally, last tool, the bias mirror. This one's not cute. It asks, does this belief make me feel smarter, safer, or superior?
I love this one.
Because if it does, chances are it's comforting your ego rather than aligning with truth.
Bias isn't a villain. It's just invisible until you shine a light on it.
Here comes my flashlight.
Left unchecked, it'll have you hugging cha-chain trees and wondering why your relationships are itchy.
Use the bias mirror to stay honest, folks. It's not about guilt. It's about clarity. And trust me, clear feels way better than right.
So now it's time for this week's Aging Heroes Challenge, the Thinking Cleanse.
All right, heroes, you've got the tools. Now it's time for your field test, the thinking cleanse. No juice fast, no incense, just a little cognitive honesty in your daily jungle walk. Here's how it works. Step 1, pick a belief, something emotional, something you feel in your bones. Politics, religion, sexuality, parenting, whatever makes you raise your voice or avoid Thanksgiving. Step number 2, ask the 5 questions. Number 1, what's the actual evidence that supports this? Number 2, what do experts in the field say? Number 3, who benefits from me believing this? Number 4, what would it take to change my mind? And number 5, what emotion does this belief protect?
That 5th one stings a little because sometimes our beliefs are just armor for our old wounds.
Ooh, yeah.
That's where the real healing starts. That's when the Chaka gets involved.
This is good stuff.
Step 3 is flip the script. Read or watch something from the other side. Not to win, but to understand.
Yeah.
Sit with it like it's a tree you've never touched before.
And that's not going to be easy, but it's necessary.
Step 4, journal the journey. Write one honest page. No filters, no edits, just what changed, what resisted, where did you flinch?
Good.
And step 5, make one adjustment.
Just one.
You don't have to abandon the belief.
Nope.
Just adjust the volume, the language, or the posture. Trade certainty for curiosity.
So important.
Swap sting for salve.
Right on.
Okay, segment 2 recap. You now have 5 tools in your critical thinking field kit. The evidence filter, Occam's razor, the opposite test, the change test, the bias mirror.
And your Aging Heroes Challenge, that was the thinking cleanse. 7 days, 1 belief, 5 questions, a little discomfort, and a whole lot of clarity.
Coming up in segment 3, we take all this jungle wisdom and bring it home to your conversations, your family dinners, and your digital life.
Get ready.
Spoiler, some of those comment sections are full of cha-ching.
So lace up your sandals. You're heading into the village. And this time, you'll know which trees to lean on and which ones to avoid hugging. Okay, heroes, you've stood between the trees, you've got your field kit, you've journaled your way through the itchy parts of your beliefs, but now comes the real test, application. Welcome to Thinking in the Village, where your ideas leave your journal and bump into real people with loud opinions, loud holidays, and louder Facebook groups.
It's one thing to sharpen your mind in theory.
Mm-hmm.
It's another to bring that same clarity into a living room where someone just announced with complete confidence that
Birds aren't real.
This segment, it's about using your mental machete without accidentally cutting the cake or a relationship.
Because real life, folks, it's messy. People don't speak in well-researched essays. Well, most people don't. They speak in emotion, in stories, in inherited scripts. And if you want your shiny new thinking tools to actually help, you'll need to learn how to wield them with civility.
Think of this as your jungle diplomacy guide, where not every truth needs to be shouted and not every disagreement needs a mic drop. Sometimes the smartest move is knowing when to listen, when to ask, and when to pass the guacamole and change the subject.
So let's start close to home. Picture this. Your partner says something that grinds your gears. Imagine that. You know it's off. Your cha-ching reflex kicks in hard. Judgment flaring like jungle rash. You're mid-eye roll before your brain has even caught up. But then you remember the cha-cha. And instead of reacting, you ask, can you tell me more about what you mean? That pause, that's the hinge on which clarity swings. It's not weakness. That's wisdom.
We say it all the time. Sharp thinking isn't about winning mental battles. It's about softening emotional minefields. And that usually starts with one question.
Just one.
Not a zinger, not a trap.
Nope.
Just honest curiosity.
Because curiosity is disarming. It opens doors where arguments slam them shut. And in a village, whether it's your marriage, your friend group, your neighborhood, or your Facebook comments, that makes all the difference. Application Zone 1.
The first application on our tour is family. Oh, family. The land of casseroles and controversial opinions.
Especially during the holidays. If you've ever watched a perfectly good turkey dinner derail into a heated debate about climate change, immigration, or whether Pluto still counts as a planet,
it does.
You know the stakes.
And listen, sometimes staying silent feels like betrayal. Other times, speaking up feels like pouring gasoline on the sweet potato casserole. But that's why we've got tools now. Remember the opposite test? Instead of arguing, try asking, where'd you hear that? Or even, what makes you feel so strongly about that?
Yeah. You're not poking the bear. You're asking, how's its day been? That's emotional Aikido. That's cha-cha strategy.
And if you're wondering whether it works, yes, it does. Maybe not right away, but it builds trust.
Yes.
And trust builds listening. And listening, that's the real gold, Erica.
That's the real gold, Rusty. Application Zone 2, friendships. Okay, this one's kind of sneaky because your friends are supposed to be your safe zone, right? Your margarita crew, your brunch philosophers, your ride or die karaoke partners.
But even among friends, stuff comes up. They share a conspiracy theory.
Ooh.
Or a cringy meme. Or tell you they still haven't bought into therapy, but they do trust their tarot app named Doug.
Here's the play. Don't try to fix your friends. You are not their therapist.
Nope.
You're not their mom.
Nope.
You're not their logic mechanic. You're their mirror, and a kind one. Ask this. So what's something you've changed your mind about in the last year? Watch what happens. 9 times out of 10, they'll pause, reflect, maybe even say, wow, no one's asked me that before.
That moment, that's planting a chakra seed. It doesn't sting, it soothes, it invites. It doesn't put anyone on the defensive.
And maybe, just maybe, they'll start asking you better questions too. That's how intellectual bravery goes viral.
Right on.
One honest conversation at a time.
Application Zone 3, digital dialogues. The internet, comment sections, group chats, TikTok debates, the jungle with no map.
Danger, danger. This is where the cha-chain thrives. Instant reaction, zero nuance, high-pitched certainty, and a million people shouting into the void, hoping someone likes their clever burn.
Rule number 1 for thinking in the digital village. Don't wrestle stingrays in a kiddie pool.
No.
That's code for don't argue in comments. You won't win, you won't be understood, and you'll probably end up
itchy. Instead, post things that stretch people, not slap them. Share quotes that make you wonder, not ones that make others feel, dumb. Ask open-ended questions. Something like, what's a belief you held 10 years ago that you've now re-examined? Or, where have your views evolved lately? That's internet chaka right there. That's the salve in a sea of sap. There was a dinner party in Asheville a few years ago.
Yeah, you got into a conversation with flannel shirt guy.
That's right.
Who casually said, I don't believe in climate change.
Oh, I think it sounded just like that.
And I immediately began praying to the gods of polite exits.
I remember instead of launching into a science lecture, I took a deep breath and said, what would it take for you to trust the consensus? And he paused. I mean, really paused. It was awkward for 5 seconds. Then he started to actually think out loud.
I watched it happen. His whole body softened. He didn't flip sides, but something definitely unlocked.
2 weeks later, he messaged me. He said he started reading climate data, not blogs, not YouTube, actual scientific research. He said it didn't completely flip his view, but it made him curious. And that was enough. That's the chaka moment. All right, here's the Sharp Thinker's Code.
All right, jungle travelers, let's give you a simple code to carry into the village.
I love that it's simple.
Not commandments, more like tiki torches to keep you from wandering into metaphorical poison ivy.
And we don't even get 10. There's just 5.
Beautiful.
We're calling it the Sharp Thinker's Code. It's that easy, right? Number 1, stay curious. Always ask one more question, then you answer. Number 2, don't mock. Sarcasm might feel clever, but it often masks fear. Let it go and be real instead. Number 3, pause often, especially when you want to bite. Breathe first. Number 4, admit uncertainty. The phrase, I don't know, is wisdom's secret handshake.
I love that one.
Yeah. And number 5, validate humanity. Challenge ideas, honor people.
That's it. It's not sexy.
It is sexy.
We have different ideas about sexy, but it works.
Yes.
And if you follow it, you'll be the kind of thinker people want in their lives, even if they totally disagree with you.
Because it's not about avoiding hard conversations. It's about walking through them like you'd walk a jungle trail, alert, respectful, and aware that something sacred is growing all around you.
Here's your segment 3 recap.
Let's give it to them.
All right, let's land the plane, or in our case, the dugout canoe. We brought your critical thinking tools into the real world, into homes, friendships, and comment sections. We taught you how to use Chaka-style curiosity instead of Chechen-style reactivity.
We shared a story where asking one thoughtful question opened a door. And we gave you a sharp thinker's code to carry with you like a compass in your pocket.
Coming up in segment 4, the thinking toast. We'll raise a glass to this whole beautiful mess. The bravery it takes to examine your own beliefs, the awkward grace of learning out loud, and the sacred humility of saying, "Tell me more."
So it's not the thinking roast, it's the thinking toast. So grab your cup, find a seat between the trees, and meet us at the mental tiki bar. We'll see you there.
All right.
All right, heroes, you stood in the jungle, you felt the sting of Chechen and the balm of Chaka. You've done the inner work, the kind that doesn't post well on social media, but changes everything quietly. It's time now to raise a glass.
So here's the thinking toast, my friends.
I'm thinking we toast to curiosity. That's the unsung superpower.
To the pause that saves the day, to the uncomfortable that starts the shift, to not knowing and loving anyway, to conversations that end with questions, not conclusions, to every listener out there doing the quiet work, the hard work, the thoughtful, beautiful, slow work of growing up. Again, cheers to your brain, your brave, bendy, blistered, but still blooming brain, and to your heart. May it always be wiser than your Wi-Fi.
Cheers, skål, salute.
Mazel tov.
Mazel tov.
So let's zoom out. This episode wasn't about sharpening your wit.
Nope.
It was about honing your humility.
We started between two trees in a Guatemalan jungle. One hurt, one healed. Both taught. That's where critical thinking begins. In awareness, in contrast, in reverence.
Segment 2 handed you tools, 5 of them. Simple, but not easy.
And segment 3 brought those tools into the village, into kitchens, conversations, and comment sections. It got real and sometimes awkward.
And here in segment 4, we raised a glass, not to being right, but to being real, to thinking in ways that honor the world instead of conquering it.
That's right. If this episode hit your heart, if it spoke to you, share it. Text a friend, tag us, and go follow us on Instagram and Facebook at Aging Heroes. You can also find our full tribe at www.agingheroes.com.
Coming up next, Experience Wonder. Based on day 14 of a guide for aging heroes, we're trading in the machetes for telescopes and our doubts for awe.
It's time to stop dissecting and start delighting, to feel the goosebumps, to stretch your spirit like a hammock between constellations.
Bring your sense of wonder and maybe a blanket. We're looking up next week.
Bring it.